Hola and bienvenidos a Los Lobos. But hello, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another extravagant, muy espectacular episode of Los Lobos de la Lucha, your weekly CMLL review show here at the BC WrestlePod Network, fandom, podcasting network, YouTube channel, Twitch things, all the things we got going on. We have a lot. We're running a conglomeration, if you will, for those who watch our other products. You know where that comes from. But I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and joining me this week, we have the whole entire trio back once again. Gosh, it's been such a while since all three of us have been in the room. I almost went into, the nanny was like, well, Mr. Champagne. But I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and we have the whole trio here. First and foremost, making his epic return to Arena de VC WrestlePod is Papa Oso himself, sporting a new shirt that I love because I also have the same one. We're gonna be twins one of these days. I gotta remember to wear it next time.
Twinsies.
Indeed. Hola, everyone.
Indubitably.
I just noticed that this light that I'm using makes me look like I have weird contacts in.
It's so cool. I love it so much. And then, of course, rounding out our trio tonight is El Bundador II, who me and him have been beefing on and off. Just kidding. We're bestest of friends. I am extra punchy tonight, so this is going to be a lot of fun, but in a good way. I promise. It's going to be great. So, Indubitably. So before we begin, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you don't know what we are, what we do. Hi, we review a bunch of wrestling. We're just wrestling nerds that love to watch wrestling. So you can check out all our other shows on the YouTube, follow us on the Twitch, subscribe to the YouTube, follow us on all the social media. I'm not going to go through the extensive list because we're pretty much everywhere, but you can find all our social media on the Next Level app where it is nicely neated and sorted into one place. Shout out to the boys at Next Level for always, consistently updating the app and, getting input from its creators. It's a lot of fun with that. I don't want to talk too long because we're here for a really, really fun time. So we are here not only to review another week of CMLL, but we are primarily going to be focused on the greatest spectacle of professional wrestling I have seen in 2024, in my humble opinion. I did not know what to expect. I had no expectations because I wanted to go in blind, and I was not disappointed. But we are going to be spending tonight talking about the giant international Grand Prix that happened over the last couple of days, specifically on Friday. This is going to be so good. But before we get into all that, we do have a little bit of news per se.
Noticias. Aquí están noticias.
It sounds like my grandma's radio station. I love it. So we do have some CMLL related news, so to speak. So as everyone is aware here on BC WrestlePod, we also review AEW. And tonight, as the time of this recording of this review, AEW Dynamite just got finished airing for the East Coast / me, who gets the East Coast feed on television. Thank you, satellite. But the CMLL news that we're going to talk about here is that our current champion for the women's titles, the CMLL Women's World title, Willow Nightingale, has laid down the gauntlet. She won her mixed tag team match at All In Wembley this past weekend, teaming up with Tomohiro Ishii of New Japan by beating her eternal rival Chris Statlander and of Stokely Hathaway. And because she won, Willow got to choose the stipulation for the championship match at All Out in Chicago in 2 weeks. And what better way to settle the score and to do the things that women's wrestling in AEW knows how to do very well? And because Willow has yet to lose one of these in a while, Willow has challenged Chris Statlander for the CMLL Women's World title match in a Chicago street fight. So just expected, if anyone knows the street fight history with Chris and Willow, those women go all out. There will be tables, there will be chairs, there will probably be some barbed wire, thumbtacks, glass maybe in some capacity. Like, these girls are going to go at it. And I found it funny that Willow worded it tonight saying that this is a match that even CMLL wouldn't sanction because of how extreme it's going to get, which I don't know.
Interesting.
it was an interesting choice of words, which on the one hand, I was like, yeah, I mean, I kind of see it because at least from what we've seen from CMLL, they don't really do like these big gimmick matches like street fights and things like that.
Yeah.
So interesting choice of words. But regardless, that women's title is going to be defended on American television in 2 weeks at an AEW pay-per-view and one of their big four too. So I think the match is going to slap. Chris and Willow are fantastic. I do wish that the title would come down to Mexico ever so often so we could see it in CMLL.
Would be nice.
Yes, it would. But you know what? I'm not
Here
mad
we are.
Willow has it.
Yeah,
If anyone was going to win it, I'm happy that Willow has it because I love Willow and she's fantastic. But that is going to be my noticias for the evening. So I am going to tag in El Buntador, who unofficially wanted to run tonight. So I'm going to let him do his thing. So tag in.
Boom. So one of the beautiful things about CMLL is that what should be a PLE or pay-per-view or whatever you want to call it, they just put it on one of their regular nights. So this Viernes Espectacular was not just a Viernes Espectacular, but this was the International Grand Prix tournament where we saw 10 CMLL stars against 10 international stars. And we're going to get to it because it was a show. And to start us off with the show, if I can do the thing there, boom. So to start us right off, we went right to a very exciting style match. We had Fugaz, who is our técnico, and Belano Tercero Jr., who is our rudo in a match relámpago. So in a match relámpago for all of our new watchers, it's a 1 fall 10-minute match. The cool thing is that in this match, they do have a big timer up on the side of the TV screen, so you see the time slow down, slowly dwindle down. These two luchadors, very high flyers, fancy styles, especially Fugaz, and they went at it. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Fugaz did have Mije in his corner tonight. Yeah, they went at it. Fugaz, one of the things that I remember is he hit this beautiful 450 moonsault off the top rope. Milano Tercero Jr., he did this crazy, like, bouncing off the rope handstand thing, which was great. But we did get Belano Tercero Jr. As your winner at the 6-minute 29-second mark. So didn't go as long as some other match relampagos that we saw. Most of the time when we see them, they do kind of go to like literally the last second. But yeah, what did Papa? Also, we haven't heard from you in a while. So what did you think of this match relampago?
Well, got notes. Actually, it's all good stuff, I think. But I'm just going to all these are just my notes for the match itself, and I'm just going to go through them and just whatever. I love that fly that Fugaz did into the ring when he was coming in. That was super cool. For those of you if you don't know anything about lucha style, it is very like acrobatic. It's very high flying. It's really cool. Visually, it's beautiful. I thought it was funny that sometimes the elaborateness of the masks make me laugh a little bit because of the lovely hang down that was flapping up and it just made me giggle through the match. I just thought it was funny.
Fugaz has that really cool flap that hangs down from his
every
mask.
time they brought him forward in a hold, it would come up. It's so funny. I do love it when they fly through the ropes. I freaking love that move. And I know they do it, but every time they do it, I love it. So they just launch themselves through. I'm just like, that's so neat. That's so cool.
Called the tope.
Yeah.
And I actually learned you can do a tope in the ring too. It's kind of what we would call a spear. But
okay.
yeah, you can do you can do a tope in the ring too, not just outside of the ring.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's just keep doing it outside the ring. It's much cooler. I thought that foot to Fugazi's chest was amazing. It made me go, ooh. That fly into Fugazi's face and then punching him on the floor. I really like Fugaz. I really like him a lot. I wasn't sure how I was going to like him or not. Actually, neither of these guys. I really was kind of like, eh. But Fugaz, man, blew me away in this match. I did notice a couple of missteps in the match, but they recovered pretty well. Beyond the Junior, I said at the 5-minute mark, he was not playing around. When he flew into Fugaz's face and then punched him on the floor, that was one of my favorite moves of this match. I do like Fugaz's high flying style. It's very fluid. It's very awesome. He loves to use that top rope, and I love it. I did feel like about the 8-minute mark, they were starting to get tired, like actually tired, because things started to slow down a little bit. They were still full energy, but you could tell they were getting kind of tired there towards the end.
Yep. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was they took it to the 9-minute 13-second mark. I just realized what I wrote down is that it wasn't until 6 minutes 29 seconds into the match that we got our first near fall.
Right.
Which, for people that watch like Western wrestling, at the 6-minute mark, you usually have like 2 or 3 near falls by that point.
Yeah, it was great. This was a really good match. I really liked this match. I thought it started off a little slow at the beginning, but it really picked up and was like, I was into it. I'm like, I have like a half a page of notes that I wrote on it. All good stuff because I really liked it. I thought it was a pretty badass way to use your opponent's strength against him. Because Liano Jr. used Fugaz's his moves against him right there towards the end, and I really, really like that a lot. And the other thing about this match was the audience was super fun to watch because the camera would go around around the audience, and my favorite audience member of the night was the guy with his drink. They were like going by him, and everyone's like, "Yeah!" And he's like, "I got my drink. I don't care what's going on." He was just like, he had no expression on his face whatsoever, and it was the funniest thing in the world. I just thought it was hilarious. He was like, "My drink is more important than what's happening right now." But no, this was a great match. It was super good. I loved it.
All right, Mikey, what'd you think about our match, Relampago?
So, I mean, I pretty much reiterate what both of you have said. The only real things I have to say is that beautiful moonsault, that springboard moonsault from Fugaz to the outside was beautiful. And I need to find that somewhere on the internet because that is a beautiful shot. I will say, though, that the ending was kind of done a little bit sloppy with that that guillotine, double stomp / leg drop. So I was like, ooh, maybe not the best, but I thought this was a really fun opener. I think it was a decent opener to get the crowd engaged and to kind of start off the energy right for the night. I will say that this was definitely an opener match, and it kind of felt like that, which is not necessarily a bad thing because somebody's got to go first on the card every single week. So I thought it was utilized correctly in the way to get the crowd energized because they were going to need that for the rest of the evening, especially when we got to our main event. So I thought this was a pretty decent opener. I enjoyed what I saw, and it definitely started the night off right.
That's right. And that brings us straight to our second match of the night, which was our Amazonas We have, and not only is it Amazonas, but it is a technical versus technical match, which in English speak is babyface versus babyface team, and in this technical versus technical Amazona match, we have Juvia and Tessa Blanchard, who are your current women's champions, versus Ikira and Scotty. This was a relevo sencillo, so really quick. The rule set with the relevo sencillo is that you do have to have either pin or submit both members of the team. And this was a best 2 out of 3 pinfall match. I felt that the first 2 pinfalls went really fast. We had our first pinfall go to Juvia and Tessa Blanchard. Then the second pinfall went to Scotty and Kira. That third pinfall, though, to me, it felt like a brawl, like a street fight. And I don't know if this was on purpose or not. I know that in US wrestling, we might call it a botch. I'm still trying to figure out what in lucha is a botch and isn't a botch, because our ref for the night, Bestia Negro, he was counting kind of slow, and it was taking him a little bit. I mean, he's probably the elder statesman of the refs, and so it took him a little bit to get down. But yeah, he was counting kind of slow. All in all, we do have Tessa Blanchard and Juvia end up with the win on this match. Mikey, let's start with you this time around. What was your take on this technical versus technical Amazona match?
So outside of the Grand Prix, which we'll talk about a little bit later, I thought this was a really fantastic match, and it was probably my second favorite match of the whole entire evening. But again, of course, I'm biased because I love me some good women's wrestling, and Amazona action anytime I'm going to get is fantastic. I will say I do kind of agree with you that the first and the second pinfalls kind of seem quick. The third one, so normally when we have basically like what I call, like in video game terms, everybody was spamming like special moves and everything. Normally, I'm not the biggest fan of everybody getting like 50,000 moves in like a 5-minute period, and kind of, because then it looks a little sloppy, and it did look a little sloppy here, but it was one of those times that I didn't mind. Only because, and I talked about this earlier in this week, I think when it comes to these kinds of matches, even though the titles weren't on the line, Kira and Scotty have a good case. If they win this match, they should be in contention to go after the CMLL Women's Tag Team Championships. And honestly, I know Juvia and Tessa are great, but the chemistry between Kira and Scotty was really, really great, especially with the classic, Scotty being your power base of the tag team, and Kira using that power base to her, benefit when it came to setting up and executing the tag team moves. I thought this was great. It was hard hitting. It was good action. It definitely was sloppy, but I didn't mind it, and I kind of liked it coming from them. And you know what? I would like to see CMLL run a rematch down the line between these two teams again. Like, I'm here for it. Put it on the anniversary show. Just putting it out there.
There we go. Yeah. All right, Papa Oso, dígame, what'd you think?
I love this match because, me and the women, I love them. Not biblically, but I love them. I do have to say, my girl Scotty out there representing the voluptuous ladies, and like beating some ass. Love her so much. I loved when they used, I think it was Juvia and Tessa used Scotty and Kira together to get that submission hold. I thought that was so fun. I was like, that's pretty badass. You got them all there both together, submit them both. I was like, yay for you girls. I love that roll over the top rope that Kira did. That was pretty badass. I love Scotty and Kira. They're awesome. And then my last note for this was like, come on, Rev, give us the 3 count. My God.
Right?
Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I think he's having a stroke. I was like, somebody send out the ambulance. My God.
Did you see the at the final one where when Tessa had was on top of Kira, she turned back and she like yelled at the ref.
Okay.
Yeah, he was yeah. So
like, twice he did that. He did that slow, and I was like, someone check him. I think he's having a stroke. I really do. Because I was like, come on.
Yeah,
that should have been a 3 count.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it was lovely. I loved it. It was so good. Anytime the ladies wrestle, I'm here for it.
Yeah. So this was a really good match. Again, Tessa Blanchard and Jubia come out with the win, and the energy kept rolling into our third match. And I will admit, when I saw who was coming out, I started to get a little bit nervous. Boo on me. Boo on me. So on the technical side, we have Atlantis, Blue Panther, and Octagon, which are elder statesmen in CMLL. Like between all of them, I think Octagon has had the is like the rookie out of them, and he has like a 30+ year career under his belt, versus the young Rudo team of Angel de Oro, Barbario Cavernario, and Soberano Jr., my baby daddy. This was a Relevo Australiano, best 2 out of 3 pinfall. Seeing these 3 elder statesmen doing their thing, I was shook, if you will. They worked so well, and they didn't they didn't have any like punches pulled on them. We did see Octagon and Atlantis last week in a match, but Blue Panther, when he came out, I was a little bit worried because he looked like he was moving a little bit slow, but worry not, because they brought it. And also to work with these 3, Angel de Oro, who is your who's the winner of this last tournament for the Torneo de Plata that they just had. Barbario Cavernario, who is a fan favorite, and Soberano Jr., who I feel is the Rudo, like the top Rudo, if you will. But they just, Blue Panther, he flew. I couldn't believe it. Unfortunately, we do get the Rudos getting the win, which I also thought was a great thing for these elder statesmen of lucha with established careers, kind of lifting up the younger folk. But let me see what y'all think. What do you think, Papa? Also,
okay, so I did not have the reaction that you had. And I was because they of course they announced the youngins first. Maybe it's because I am an older statesman, but as they were announcing because I didn't know who was coming out, and they were announcing the youngins, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. All right, cool. I think Soberano Jr., he's kind of like a hottie patati, isn't he? I was kind of like,
I told you, he's my baby daddy. He came coming out in that mariachi outfit,
and he's all like. I was like, okay, all right, calm it down. All right, turn your heat down. But no, he's pick my teeth with that. But then when the older folks were coming out, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be badass. Because this is like, we're bringing the vets in, man. I was like, yeah, we're going to show some young pups how it's done. And I thought that was, and that's what they did too. And I thought that was great. And even though they didn't win, which I figured they weren't going to, I figured the younger generation was going to win, because to me it felt more like we're going to come in and we're going to make you earn your win, because we knew they were going to. And it was sort of like, it felt almost like let me hand it off to you guys. Okay, I feel like you guys can carry on the ideas that we're in, the sort of ethics and morals that we've kind of pushed forward, the ideals of what lucha is. And it was really kind of nice. Even though I really wanted the vets to win, I really did. I was like, God, it would be great, wouldn't it? They come in, they're like, but I knew they weren't going to. But I thought this was a pretty darn good match. I loved all of the fact that they were high flying. These older men, and this is one of the things I love about this whole company and this whole style, is that just because you're aged, quote unquote, in what American wrestling would be considered out of the business, in here it's like embraced. It's like, ooh, look at this legend coming in, and I'm going to get to fight this legend. And it doesn't matter how old they are, they don't hold back, they don't, it was literally this wonderful display of respect, first of all, and I love that. I just God, it was so good. I actually went back and watched this one twice, because I loved it so much. I was like, it was so good. And like I said, man, these old guys, I say old guys, these veterans, they were doing some stuff that I was kind of like, I'm 53, and I'm like, there is no way. I would be dead. I would be dead on the ground. They'd be carrying me out on a board. I mean, with a bag over my head. I would literally be dead. And I mean, and then some of those moves, like when Atlantis was doing those badass knee hits, he was like, just like, bam, bam. It's just one right after another. And then that move that Blue Panther did off the apron, and I can't remember who it was too. I think it was either Angel or Sabaran. I can't remember. It was right there on the corner. He jumped and like wrapped around and threw him into the corner. Oh my God. It was like, how are you? Hips, man, hips. Just, careful. Yeah, how many are you bionic? What are you? One of the funny things about this match, though, that I did laugh about, and I know it's like a normal thing, but I just noticed it this time, was with Barbaro Cavernario, when he comes out and he's got the cave drawings on him that looks like a 5-year-old did them. I laughed so hard. I was just like, he does not have cave drawings on him. I loved it. Yeah, I love little things.
He's great. Yeah,
I love these little things. So yeah, I love this match. I thought it was fantastic.
And the funny thing is, you can always tell the fans of Barbaro Cavernario, because they all have bones tied in their hair like he does. So it's good. It's good. Mikey, what'd you think?
So I want to put this in perspective. So I think it's fair to call our veteran team the old guys, because the three of them, when you add their ages together, their cumulative age is a total of 187. Just putting it out there. So,
well, I don't necessarily think it's disrespectful to say the old guys. But I know, veterans.
I'm just putting it in perspective. When you add all three of their ages together, they are 187. That's a testament to how Lucha Libre does things different than what we're used to in the Western. And I would even say, well, it's mostly a Western, because Eastern also has very older. Lest we forget, Minoru Suzuki is like near in his 60s, and he's still like fighting on bullet trains and water parks and all that kind of stuff. So he could still go, and he's still great in the ring too. And this was no exception. As soon as I saw that this was on the card, I knew I was going to be in for a good time. I knew this wasn't going to be a work rate classic type of match. We were just going to here to have fun. But damn it, did the vets try their hardest to like be in their prime? It was so fantastic. And I want to give the Rudo team their flowers, if that makes any sense, because they did a hell of a job selling the moves from our technical team, and they made them look great, which made it even really cool when the Rudos fought back. And so our vets did the same thing. So it was a good back and forth. It was a lot of fun. I'm super happy to see more of Soberano Jr. more and more on Fridays, because it seems he's on there almost every single week now for the last couple of weeks. And I'm not going to disagree or get mad about it, because I think he's super talented. And also El Buntador gets to see his baby daddy every week. Don't tell that to Swolverine though on another company, because we might have too many baby daddy problems. I thought this was a fantastic match. This was really great. I love, the dives that Octagon and Panther did to the outside towards the end. But ultimately, Angel de Oro was the winner, getting the roll up for the win. I thought this was a really fun match, and it definitely kept the energy up because it had me all hyped for what we were about to see next.
Boy, howdy. Boy, howdy.
I have a whole list too, so it's going to be great.
Yeah. So it just 3 matches and boom, we go right into the Grand Prix. So what is on the screen right now is what everyone was wrestling for. That is the Grand Prix Cup, and whoever won the Grand Prix got to take that home. Really quick. Just to kind of give everyone the setup, the way that everyone was introduced, it looks like they drew straws backstage, and then the way that everyone is introduced is the order in which they can enter the ring, and what the goal is to pin the individual that you are in the ring with, and once they're pinned, they're out. And then the flow is constant. So you have constant bodies in the ring. There were some fracases, some Donnybrooks, but we'll get to that. So this is a long shot of what it looked. A lot of pomp and circumstance. They had the Mexican National Guard come out to play the national anthem of Mexico. Both teams, the lighter blue, that's the international team. The black was Team Mexico. But for the international team, first representing South Korea, you had Ikiro Kwan. Representing Saudi Arabia, you had Mansoor. Representing the USA, you had Flip Gordon, Akira, and Rocky Azúcar Romero, who's a little feisty this tournament.
We will talk about him in a little bit.
Representing England, we had Robbie X. Representing Canada, we had the Davey Boy Smith Jr. Representing Japan, you had Yota. Representing Australia, we had Kyle Fletcher. And representing Switzerland, we had Claudio Castagnoli.
I also love the fact that they also introduced like what promotions they're from. So
yes.
I love that. If I could, because I do want to give these promotions really good. So Akira is representing, well, he's from a bunch of places, but on this show, he's representing MLW, which is a fantastic promotion. Claudio Castagnoli is AEW. Davey Boy Smith Jr. is representing Maple Leaf Wrestling, I believe, or just Canadian wrestling in general. Also, we'll talk about him because it's been a hot minute since I've seen him in the ring, and I'm like, damn, I forgot you are Canadian in terms of who you emulate when you wrestle, because, Hitman style. Flip Gordon is CMLL, but he is in the United States. By the way, it was very interesting to watch this man get booed this whole entire tournament, and we'll talk about that because I was fighting the air and I was ready to jump in and fight the audience. I'm like, don't you dare do this to my boy Flip, but it makes sense. Ikuro Kwan, also representing MLW. Kyle Fletcher, our only ROH representative, surprisingly, because Mansoor was representing AEW, which was really, really interesting.
Interesting.
Robbie X representing Rev Pro in the UK,
Pro.
which was fantastic. Rocky Romero representing the New Japan Strong Dojo. So shout out to the Dojo squad. And then, of course, Yota, who has now dropped his last name, but Yota Tsuji representing New Japan, which is fantastic. But let me tell you, Team Mexico, it was so... I was loving who we got on the team, but I'm going to let El Butador do the honors because he's running the show.
So for Team Mexico, we had Valiente, Esfinge, Euphoria, Titan, Ultimo Guerrero, Templario, Máscara Dorada, Atlantis Jr., Volador Jr., and Místico to round it out. So yeah, really quick. I did not realize that I needed a Kyle Fletcher Mansoor ship until I saw it.
Oh my god. Okay, let's talk about that first before we get into actual business. Because let me tell you, like, I love watching these wrestlers that are normally so flippin' serious in the other promotions on Western television. And the fact that these two were hamming it up, this is what I want to see. I was like, dang, Sky, now I know why you like Kyle Fletcher. Well, up with we got to see it firsthand too when we were at New Jersey Wrestle Show. Kyle Fletcher is a goofball in real life who doesn't take himself too seriously. It's fantastic. And Mansoor is just flipping hilarious. Even though his tag team partner wasn't in this thing, I love the MXM collection spots that we got the whole entire thing. And let me tell you, MXM collection is best tag team. Fight me. Like, that's what I will say.
Yes, indeed.
I love it.
So before we continue, did you want to say anything about the entrances, the pre-match stuff there, Pablo, also?
It's funny thing is I didn't know any of the international people. I knew every one of the Mexican wrestlers, but I did not know any of the international people. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Oh, okay, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Okay, yeah, okay, good. Okay, I don't know you, but that's cool. And then they were like, then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, Valiente. And I was like, oh, Templario. I was like, I knew all those guys. So I was like,
you know a little bit of Rocky because Rocky's been on.
Well, I mean,
CMLL,
Rocky Romero, but I only know him because of CMLL. I don't know of him anything else. Like,
that
I've
is
only
very
seen
fair
him on CMLL. So,
and we've also seen Flip, but again, we'll talk about it. This man got booed out the building for being a traitor.
Yeah.
But I really I thought it was neat. I will say that it was funny because y'all were like, oh, I can't wait till you watch the Grand Prix. And I was like, ooh, what's that? You know, it's like when I was watching it, I was like, oh, wow, this is a big deal. Like, pomp and circumstance and all of that. I was like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Whole entire flag bearers. Tessa was holding the flag because she is the winner from last year's Amazona International. Let me tell you, just to let everybody remember, Tessa is entering the tournament. That tournament is happening in October in some time.
Yes.
And it's the same thing. Team Mexico Amazonas versus all the international women. Just put Chris and Willow on a team. Like, that's all I want. Put Willow in this match. Like, anyways, continue, Will. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, I mean, so once they all got out there, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be very cool. I can't wait to see it. I have to say that I do that I love Atlantis Jr.'s mask with the fin.
Me too, bro. Yep. I was like, he brought out the special one.
Oh my god, this is so fun. I was like, that is so. Now I want that one. I want to sit on it. But no, I got, once I was like, oh, that's cool. And then when all of a sudden, like the band came out, the flags, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. This is like badassery right here.
Yeah. I even had them cheering for the search dogs. Like,
the canine corps out. I was
we had whole entire like mascots of the guard come out.
I will say at first I thought they were furries. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Until I realized they weren't. Nothing against the furry community. I was like, oh my god, are those furry? Oh, no, they're not furries. Never mind. They're mascots. My bad.
We had actual furries with the search dogs, which is kind of crazy too.
I know, which I thought was hilarious. But no, I was like, God, look at it. And the audience was insane for it. I was like, why don't we have stuff like that here in Western, like American style wrestling? Why don't we have that? I mean, why don't they do things? I mean, because that's, to me, that's like let's get the whole world like on our side. I was just like, they had all the representatives in the audience from all the different countries, the nations that were fighting.
Yeah,
it was so cool.
Tag me in. I can tell you why.
Oh, well, okay, tag in then.
So here's the thing, and this is just a very analytical viewpoint. This is from me only. This is not a general viewpoint of the rest of my co-hosts here. But when we think of these international Grand Prix tournaments, it always depends on where they're fun. The problem is the reason that we don't have something like this in the Western sphere, not just the United States, but in the Western part of the world too. Tournaments are more individualized than anything else. So anytime we have a tournament, usually they are like at the individual phase. And even when we have tournaments that involve like teams and things like that, it's not necessarily showcasing this is where they come from. This is like, all right, everybody's got their favorite players. We're just going to pay attention to them, and everybody else is there to, swap in and out. It's very, how do I put this nicely? Western tournaments tend to be very selfish because it's about look what I can do. And it's about me. And plus, Western tournaments always pull from, Western wrestlers. They never go outside of Western wrestlers because we have tournaments and we have seen more tournaments on Western programming for Western, wrestling promotions. But it's always pulling from the talent that they got and not pulling from other countries, because also some of these, companies don't want to work with other, promotions because they want to be a conglomeration and a singular entity. That's a whole entire conversation for a different day. And I feel like just everywhere else, when like not just for the international Grand Prix that we had in CMLL, we just finished a big tournament in Japan too with the G1 Climax. Now, granted, there was a bunch of New Japan talent, but they also pulled, other wrestlers. They pulled Takeshita from AEW, who is also from Japan, but is living in the United States. We had a bunch of wrestlers also who are American born participate in that, and not just the G1, but also the Super Junior tournament over the summer as well. Like they pulled wrestlers, and currently New Japan, like Pro Wrestling Noah, which is another Japanese wrestling federation, we have 2 NXT American wrestlers participating in that right now. So it's like, I don't know what it is. The international tournaments always tend to pull wrestlers from all over the place because they want to showcase what the world can have. But when it comes to the Western tournaments, it's always just pulling from, our own sources. So yeah, that's why we don't really see them in Western promotions that often. At least in my opinion, we don't, because, they don't want to go outside of, what people are used to, because it's about making money and not showcasing people.
Yeah. Again, once all the pomp and circumstance ended, the tournament started. We did start with a little bit of a Donnybrook on the outside, but then the refs came and they separated everyone. The Mexican team was on the left side of the ring, and the international team was on the right side of the ring. It was also very interesting that the Mexican team, they kept on a knee and with both hands on the ring. And then the international team kind of like was milling around, if you will. So I'm just going to go through the eliminations and we can talk about that. It was very action packed. You literally had a new match every like minute or so happening in the ring, along with, some outside stuff, but then it would come back into the ring. So it was very exciting. A lot of stuff going on. So our first wrestler to be eliminated was Akira. He was eliminated by Ultimo Guerrero by pin. Pretty straight up. The next one that was eliminated was Flip Gordon. He was eliminated by Templario with some shenanigans by Rocky Romero. What do we think about that?
I knew the writing was on the wall for this because earlier when we were having like everybody showcase what they got before elimination started happening too, Rocky immediately betrayed Flip Gordon.
Yep.
Like, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. The international team is going to be at odds. Some of them are going to be at odds with one another. Obviously, Rocky and Flip are going to have some issues because CMLL history and all that good stuff. But yeah, Rocky Romero, I love you, but how dare you do this to my boy Flip? But you know, it is what it is at this point.
Yeah.
You will get yours later. We'll talk about you, sir, later in the evening.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So then we had Valiante. He got eliminated by Akira Kwan by a questionable fast count by Guero, the referee, Guero Noriega. Will, did you have any thoughts on up to this point?
Well, you know, this was like this whole thing was like chaos incarnate, and it was beautiful. And I think even with like all the shenanigans and the questionable things, there was a lot of questionable things happening, which is so great. Because I mean, this is a huge match. I mean, you know, what is it? Like, is it 24 people? Isn't it 24?
It was 20 people. 20 people.
20.
Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
20. Yeah, 20. It is 20. It's 10 on 10.
Yeah, and that is like, my brain is just like, how are you going to keep track of all that? Even with the, you know, they come in the order in which, you know, that sort of thing. But it got a little chaotic for me for a little while. I was kind of like, okay, who is this again? Okay, wait. And then all of a sudden they're gone. It's like, oh, damn it. It's like, you know, it was fun to watch because, or it's up to this point. Well, I mean, the whole thing was fun to watch, but up to this point, I thought it was and I was like, if this is the way it's going to go, like through the rest of it, this is going to be a fun ride.
Right. So then Akira Kwan was eliminated by Euphoria, who did this gnarly power bomb off the top rope for a 1-2-3 pin. Then Ultimo Guerrero is eliminated by Davey Boy Smith Jr. By pin. Esfinge is eliminated by Robbie X. Robbie X doing that 720 corkscrew thingy-majigger. Mikey, you see, Mikey loved that move so much he muted himself.
Yes, I muted myself. How dare you, microphone? It was almost a black arrow, but not quite, like the one Pac does. So it's like a black arrow, but not really.
Yep. Then Euphoria gets eliminated by Kyle Fletcher after Kyle Fletcher does a suplex into a pin. Robbie X is eliminated by Titan. Titan doing a curb stomp and then into a pin. There goes my drink. It's okay. I'm still alive.
Are we sure about that?
We are sure about that. All right. So now the field is dwindling down. Templario is eliminated by Rocky Romero, who had the Boston Crab submission in and made Templario submit. Davey Boy Smith Jr. is then eliminated by Atlantis Jr. by a pin. Mansoor is then eliminated by Mascara Dorada Jr., who Mascara Dorada does this 450 off the top rope onto Mansoor. But again, bit of a fast count, questionable count by our referee, Guero Noriega. Then Titan is eliminated by Claudio Castagnoli. He is pinned. Yota. So I crossed this out, but I got to bring this up. So then our next elimination is Volador Jr. Looks like he's eliminated by Yota because Yota puts a sharpshooter on Volador Jr. But when the ref tells Yota to let go of the sharpshooter, Yota refuses and keeps a hold on it. So the ref disqualifies Yota, which keeps Volador Jr. in the tournament. And also Yota, it was funny because Yota attacks the ref, and Guero Noriega, the ref, he's a big guy, and he just pushed right back. What did we think about that? Papa also, what'd you think about that? Or up to now in the tournament?
I'm loving the chaos of it all. I mean, now I was kind of like, when Yota was like hanging on, I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is cool. Okay. I was wondering if we were going to have something like this happen, because because I'm not sure on because I don't know how long this has been going on. How long has this Grand Prix thing been going on?
Like, it's been going on for a bit. It's been going on for a while.
Okay. So I didn't know if this was like a standard type thing, like, oh yeah, this happens all the time, or this is like new, because this is like my first one. And but I loved when he done, and of course the ref's like, okay, give up. And he's like, no. And I was like, ooh. And Noriega, I mean, I've seen him referee before, and he is not one to fool with. Because I was kind of like, ooh, what are you doing? And then when he like attacked him, basically, not basically, he did. I was just like, oh, I thought for sure. And I was kind of hoping that like Noriega was going to pick him up and like body slam him or something, because that would have been beautiful. I would have loved that. But he pushed it back, and it was like, okay, and then gone. I was interested. It was interesting that they let my brain, Volado. Oh my God, his opponent. Why am I
Volador Jr.?
Volador Jr. Yes, I was kind of surprised they left him in the tournament though, because I mean, technically he submitted.
He did.
So I was like, I mean, I didn't mind that they left him in the tournament. I was just kind of surprised that they did. I don't know if it was because, that wasn't fair to you, so let's let you back in, or again, I don't know. So I don't know if this is like a commonplace type thing for like submission, if you go beyond the submission hold. I don't know. I thought it was odd. But.
I'm not. What do you think, Mikey?
So I have a couple of things here. I feel that Yoji getting eliminated when he did by disqualification was a little bizarre to me. And if I'm going to be completely honest, because I went back through this one more time just to get my notes in order, I'm going to be honest, I completely forgot that Yoda was in this match until the disqualification. Only because the camera didn't really pick him up when he was waiting on the outside with the rest of the team. And then the few times he got in the ring was fantastic, but then he wasn't in there very long. So I was just like, this disqualification didn't make too much sense. Unlike the other disqualification we get not too long later into the tournament. That one kind of sense. So I'm just like, all right. Well, that's fine, I guess. I wanted to see more for Yoda. I like Yoda Tsuji. I really do. And we've seen him before, and he's fantastic. I just wish we got to see more of him. So this was a little bizarre for sure.
All right. So then we had Mascara Dorada was eliminated by Claudio Castagnoli by a Claudio's signature helicopter into a pin. And this is where the shenanigans get really shenanigan-y, because we have Mystical is in the ring with Kyle Fletcher. Mystical hits his move, right? Or actually, no, I apologize. So Mystical goes to hit his Mystica, his armbar move. Kyle Fletcher blocks it, right? But Mystical ends up on top, and he's about to pin Kyle Fletcher. Guero Noriega drops down. He hits the one, he hits the two. Rocky Romero grabs Guero Noriega and pulls him out of the ring to interrupt the pin, disqualifying Rocky Romero. What did we think about this drama? Or do y'all want me to? Yeah, what did we think about this drama? Mikey, you go first.
I mean, this one I guess kind of makes sense for Rocky Romero's character in CMLL, is kind of being the Dick Dastardly heel, as I like to call him. But we can't talk about this disqualification because I want to also combine what happens next too. Because Rocky gets himself eliminated, And then the most shocking thing of this whole tournament happened to me. I shouldn't be surprised because Kyle Fletcher's kind of a little dirtbag, which I love him, by the way. Kyle, if you ever see this, I know you can hurt me, so please don't. But I kind of want to see a match between Kyle and Mystico now, because as Rocky and is dealing with this with the ref, Kyle pulls off Mystico's mask, which forces Mystico to break the hole to cover his face, which allows Kyle Fletcher to hide the mask while rolling up and pinning Mystico. And the ref comes back to count Mystico out, and Kyle Fletcher got the biggest heat and the biggest boost the whole entire night, because he eliminated last year's tournament winner. Because lest we forget, Mystico won the 2020, 3 tournament, and the winner gets to be in the following tournament. So he literally eliminated the winner of last year's tournament and the face of CMLL. And I'm like, well done, booking team. I need to see a match down the road between these two. Give it to me. Anniversary. Oh, no, wait. Mystico's fighting Chris Jericho. Do we have to have Jericho? Can we have Kyle Fletcher instead? Anyways.
I know, right?
But I need to see a match. But Kyle Fletcher got the biggest boos, and I was just like, there we go. Solidify him as a heel, baby. Let's go.
Papa,
I love me some evil moments.
Right? Papa, also, what do we think?
Well, I thought that was some dirty, dirty dealings. But I loved it. It was so great. It was so wonderful because it's such great television. That's what's so wonderful about it. And it tells a story, which is even better. Because it's really the idea of, it's not that I love when a luchador's mask gets taken off, but I love the symbolism of it, and it tells us a story about it. Like, they take the mask off and they immediately hide their faces because it's the whole premise of it. And so then it's like, ooh, why is he doing that? So let me go find out why he does that. And so it's almost educational to a point. And I love it and I hate it all at the same time, because I was like, wow, way to cheat there, buddy boy, and get away with it. And which was great. And I agree with Mikey on all of that. I think, I thought it was a great bad guy move. I thought it was a great dick move, if you'll excuse the expression. But it was the whole thing was beautiful in its execution.
I know. We're far enough into saying this. The echo is like Kyle Fletcher was a dick.
Yeah.
But
seriously,
the way he did it though, it was so fluid and so pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so clean. I melted in my chair. I was just like, oh my god.
I don't know if they practiced that or whatever, but it was gorgeous.
I need everyone to realize that Kyle Fletcher is so good in the ring, and he's barely like 25 at this point in life. He's still in his 20s.
I know. It's amazing.
I want to be Kyle Fletcher when I grow up.
It was flawless.
But speaking of Kyle Fletcher, he is the next one to be eliminated, and he's eliminated by the current ROH TV champ who took Kyle Fletcher's belt, Atlantis Jr., by a pin. So now we have Claudio Castagnoli versus Atlantis Jr. and Volador Jr. Atlantis Jr. is the next one that comes in. He literally just gets romper stomped by Claudio and is just bullied. And Claudio gets the 1-2-3 pin, and Atlantis Jr. is dominated, which leaves Volador Jr. In there with Claudio. And your winner for the 2024 CMLL Grand Prix is Claudio Castagnoli. He pins Volador Jr. Volador Jr. has to be carried out on a backboard. So there you go. Claudio Castagnoli of Switzerland wins the CMLL Grand Prix.
So okay, me and Will are probably gonna have differing viewpoints on this. So I guess I'll go first. Actually, no, Will, you go first.
my thing is completely ridiculous and stupid. So I just find it hilarious, absolutely hilarious, that the wrestler from Switzerland won this match with violence. I was pissing myself laughing when this happened. I was like, that is freaking hilarious.
You're just like, okay, so maybe it's not too crazy.
Was sitting here laughing so hard that I may have tinkled myself. I'm not even gonna lie. It was so funny. I was like, that is some freaking irony right there.
Right?
I was like, they call him. There's a reason why they call Claudio the Swiss cyborg. Like, he is Swiss, but he is also will hit you with violence.
That's hilarious. No, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting anybody from the international team to win, and I'm kind of glad that they pulled the swerve, not Strickland. I was really pleasantly surprised that you gotta love Swerve Strickland. I'm kind of happy that somebody from the international team won. And good on Claudio Castagnoli. Also, by the way, we're going to go back in time a little bit because he wins this tournament on Friday. Then he has to fly his whole entire body to London in like a period of 48 hours because then he wrestles at AEW's pay-per-view where
him and Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah, both of them do. Kyle gets in the 16-man tag on 0 hour, the pre-show. But then not only does Claudio win this Grand Prix, but Claudio, along with Wheeler Yuta and Pac, win the AEW Trios Championships and are the new Trios champs in AEW. And then he has to come fly all the way back to do like probably Collision this week. So Mans has a busy like 72 hours, but I'm super happy to see Claudio win. I also love the irony in this picture because you have the whole team celebrating and then Mystical is just like, damn. Like that was the perfect shot. And poor Flip is caught in the middle like Switzerland. He's just like, I'm on the international team, but I got to see all the CMLL guys like in like 24 hours for other shows. So yeah. Also, shout out to Rocky Romero for cutting that really funny promo at the very, very end where he took one of the announcers' mics. Like, that was so funny. Honestly, I think for my first Grand Prix, this was definitely a treat, and I did not mind that, including the pomps and circumstances, the entrances, and the action all the way to the end was a 90-minute match. I'm going to be honest, this probably is going to be in my top 5 somewhere when we review 2024. And I don't care if I'm biased or not, but this is how you showcase your hometown, promotion stars and also, hand-selected international stars as well. Yeah, now,
totally.
And this is just the men's. Can you imagine which women they're going to pull from the other companies for the Amazona tournament in October? Like, Don't get me wrong, the men's was great, but I'm like, if they pull the right women for this, honestly, I think the women's Grand Prix might be my favorite match of the whole year.
Yeah, definitely.
Just saying something because I said my favorite match was this past weekend.
Yeah, I said this yesterday prior. When I was speaking to El Jefe in our super secret telephone chat, but in
text message, what?
in my life of watching wrestling, I feel that this show together was the best ran, the best booked, the best, like the way that they have the match order and all that. It's the best show that in my life. And it just because it just started and it was just a nice like climb, and yeah, there was a little bit of petering out with all the pomp and circumstance before the Grand Prix, but I think that was needed because that match with Octagon, Atlantis, and Blue Panther versus Barbaro Cabenario, Soberano Jr., and Angel de Oro, I felt that was such an energetic match, that it was needed, for people to get back into it and get ready for this hour and a half bit of chaos. So, Papa, also, do you have any final thoughts on the Grand Prix?
I loved it. Let's do it again.
No notes.
No notes. It's fantastic. Okay. So before we finish off, I'm also going to give my final thoughts, but then I also have some breaking news.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So first of all, this is definitely one of the highlights of 2024 for me in terms of wrestling. This was fantastic. I love everybody that participated. I feel that minus my minor gripes with Yota Tsuji not being in it as much as I thought he would, I thought this was still a very fantastic, amazing match. And I definitely recommend everyone go and make like an hour and a half, make a snack, eat some food, just watch really fun wrestling, because this was fun. And sometimes
it was
you
fun.
need this to be fun.
Yeah.
So I do have some breaking news. So of two types.
Okay.
So for those of you that don't know or follow CMLL, usually around Wednesday nights is when they do like their talk show, recap show, everything that happens. And this is where they also make announcements and stuff like that. So tonight they had, Yota Tsuji come on, do an interview and things like that. But we also have our first international Amazona participating in the tournament coming in October. So October 25th is the official date. And from Stardom in Japan, it is Sayaka, which has me super excited. She's one of the staples of Stardom. And so listen, anytime you're going to get a Joshi Japanese women's wrestler, those girls are going to kick each other's faces in. It's going to be fantastic. However, some other important news too. We got more matches added to the anniversary show happening in 3 weeks.
Okay.
So first and foremost, let me see. My Spanish is not too great, but we are getting a trios match of Futuro, Max Star, and Hombre Bala Jr. taking on the team of Magnus, Rugido, and Mágica Blanca, which I'm presumably is for the trios championships, I think. Probably.
Right. Probably.
Then, of course, they reiterated that Mystical is taking on Chris Jericho. So I'm like, okay, well, that's fine, whatever. But the other match that got made, and this is crossing over some stuff, we're getting some other stars from other companies coming into this, because we have a match with Volador Jr., Atlantis Jr., and Ultimo Guerrero taking on, representing CMLL and New Japan Dojo, Rocky Azucar Romero, one half of our MLW tag team champs, Cozy Mac and Satoshi Kojima. And those two are pairing up with the man with the sunglasses and the denim jacket, Mr. Orange Cassidy. So
what?
So Orange, Rocky Romero, and Satoshi Kojima will be at the anniversary show taking on Volador Jr., Atlantis Jr., Ultimo Guerrero. Listen, I know Will's like, who's Orange Cassidy? Orange Cassidy is the closest American wrestler whose style fits so well with Lucha Libre. He literally is a white man version of a luchador, essentially.
Oh my. I was talking to Alice, I think yesterday, and I was like, I really want to see Orange Cassidy in CMLL.
While you're getting your wish, he is on the anniversary show, which, by the way, I still have to talk to my TNA crew for that day, but we may bypass the TNA review so all three of us can get together to watch the anniversary show in a couple of weeks. I want to do that together because this is a big one.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
So we'll figure it out.
Yep. So that is our show for today. We will see you next Wednesday when the shows go back to regular shows. I mean, we are building up to the anniversary show.
We have another tournament kind of on Friday next week, which is very interesting.
Do we?
Hang on, I can pull this up right now. See, this is why I'm here, because I'm the teacher and I have all the notes. So in our main event, actually, I think it's the first round of the Copa Independencia. So that's I think it's the first round for that, and that's gonna see Máscara Dorada, Templario, Neon, Star Black, Stuka Jr., Akuma, Difunto, and Villano the Third Jr. Like, I don't know what that entails, but it's gonna be great. Also, Yoda and Mystico are about to fight it out too on Friday, so it's gonna be good.
That's what's up. All right. So yeah, so if you can, check out CMLL. They are on YouTube. That is the most accessible place. If you do like them on Facebook, they actually do put some of their shows on Facebook Live as well, so you can catch them there. But that is it for us here at Los Lobos de Lucha. So as we go out, please remember that you are allowed to finish your own story. I'm Biconic. You're Biconic. We're all Biconic. Love one another. Hablamos luego, everybody.